Welcome back to the channel. Another broadcast. Recovered addict Paul, Peterhead, Scotland. Glad to be clean by the grace of God, the company I keep. Morning devotions, nightly inventory, plenty of meetings, working with others. So welcome back to the channel. There's lots of podcasts on here. If you're here and you're looking for sponsorship, maybe you put your first name and your number under the chat. We will happily send you the current male and female list that we have. If you'd like to be added to any healthy WhatsApp groups, you can also put that in the chat wherever you see this posted, and we will get back to you. Please check out the various broadcasts on the channel. There's 2 on step 1, 2 on step 2, and of course there's ones on each of the rest of the steps. We've also got podcasts on the traditions, and there's about 24 personal stories or more. And lots of other podcasts as well on getting through step 4 efficiently and quickly. Moving through the process. There's the entire psychic change, the ABCs of addiction. So there's lots of content on the channel. It gives me great pleasure. I've been joined today by Laura.
Hi, I'm Laura and I'm an alcoholic addict.
Brilliant. I'm right pleased you're here, Laura. Okay, family. So, there'll be information on the screen about how to get to meetings, both in person and Zoom meetings. Bear in mind you can pause, rewind, and fast forward this podcast and share it wherever you wish. So without further ado, it gives me great pleasure to introduce and hand over to Laura.
Thank you, Paul. I'm going to start it off with the set aside prayer today. God, today help me set aside everything I know about you, everything I know about myself, everything I think I know about others, and everything I think I know about my recovery, so I may have open mind and a new experience with all these things. Please help me see the truth. Amen. So I'm going to touch off a little bit how my life started. I grew up with a mom and a dad. I have 2 brothers, 1 sister. I'm the baby of all. There's 4 of us, of course. And I started out with a really young age of having my first drink. It really escalated over the years. And just a little bit of my family history. My mom left my father when I was young. I was almost 11 when she left. And she went to my grandmother's. And then she got her own place, took me and my other brother, Sean. Me and him had not really the best relationship. He ended up doing something to me. I don't know if I should get into detail or not, but he ended up molesting me when I was little, between 7 and 9 ages. And what I now see is what caused me to do my addictions. I now have part of my family together. My mom lives with another man. My dad got remarried. And yeah. So I'm going to touch into my addictions because it's a little bit on and off. So I started, like I said, at 8 years old with my first drink. Then I started smoking marijuana when I was about 11. I lost my uncle at 13. And just the trauma of being bullied through school and just having a hard life growing up with my siblings. I only have 1 sibling I get along with. We never fought. We've never really got into anything much. We used to drink and smoke weed once. I don't know. I used to smoke weed. He didn't. But I mean, he's one of the normies. So yeah. Me and him get along now. We barely talk, but yeah. Trying to think of where else I was gonna go with this. My sister and I were close at one point. I had my first child at 22. I wanted my mom. I was at the hospital giving birth, and my mom was there, but she wasn't there. So my sister stayed in the room, which was really great because I had felt like me and my sister were gonna stay friends for my whole life, but we drove apart, and yeah. I have from there. I started really escalating into my drug use. I started getting into really bad relationships. I ended up getting with my youngest's father. He was very abusive. He was mentally, physically abusive. And so, yeah, then after that, I left him. I just started working on myself. I slowly stayed away from drugs. I didn't come into the program at that time. And then I got news about my grandmother, who was a really good sport, who's always been there, even though she cut me out of my life. But I lost my uncle at a very, really young age. I was 13 when I lost him. And just had the thought of losing my only grandmother that was always there. No matter what happened in my life, she was always still there. Because when I had my youngest child and leaving my youngest's father from the abuse, my grandmother took me and both my kids in, which I never thought would happen. But she seen I was trying to recover. I wasn't in these programs, and I'm very, very grateful that I found these programs years later. My grandmother passed 2019, and it just really took a hold on me. I didn't want to grieve. I didn't want to do anything, so I just started getting into harder drugs, and it just really went down spiral from there. And it was just something I really didn't need, but I just wanted to block all the feelings, everything else, and it was fun to realize of like not fun, sorry, not the word. Um, it was not fun at all to see how down the rabbit hole I had gone, and to see now where I was wrong to do what I did instead of trying to talk about it. But yet again, my family was never one to sit there and be this like close at all. We all have our problems. We all don't get along. I now know I have one, two, three people in my family right now that are in recovery. And for them to see me now, it's amazing. So now that I've got recovered, um, so I'm gonna start when I come to the rooms. I came to the rooms beginning in the late of 2020 to the beginning of 2021. So I've been in the rooms in and out till I hit my final bottom, which was with my ex. It really down spiraled. I went from living in a house to being on the street, couch surfing, back to the street in a tent in wintertime. And then at the end of it, when I moved back home, I ended up couch surfing again. And then I found a place I could stay with a friend of mine. They were doing drugs, and it was not fun whatsoever to see how far I really hit my bottom to be homeless, be what I was living in, and just the abuse from my partner, him being an active user, not realizing he needed help as well as I did. It was just not fun. I ended up in jail. Um, still dealing with the courts and that right now, but now that I have got recovered, finally I have a relationship with my mother. I have a relationship with God. I have a relationship with myself that I really enjoy. And it's just amazing to be here, passing on my story and helping others, because I feel like if people actually knew my whole story, I know I don't want to get too much into it, just the my recovery now with my God, my higher power that I understand, it's easier. Now I can have relationships even with just anybody walking down the street. I'm very open to me being in these rooms. No, it's not recommended for everybody because it's people, places, things, and situations that are hard to get over. And it took me a while to get over a few things. Um, I finally got over the fact of me losing my oldest son. He was adopted out. That took me years. And it took me till this year to forgive myself for everything I've ever done wrong in this program. And as long as I stay connected to my higher power, I stay connected to these rooms, then I will definitely stay sober, keep pushing forward. And I'm sorry, I lost that there. Yeah, just to be here to help others. Like, I don't just think of myself. I've never really always thought of myself. I was always there helping other people. Didn't matter sober, active using or active drinking. It's just I'm always there to help other people, even if it's my sponsor, any of my fellows. It's very amazing for this feeling, and I wish this for anybody who hears this story that it's touched somebody. And I'm willing to take on a few people just to not sponsor quite yet because I'm not fully ready to do that on my own. I still have to work through my stuff with my sponsor, and I'm very grateful for that. Um, but yeah, just keep in these rooms, keep coming back, find your higher power. Don't let nobody tell you what to do or how to do it. Just listen to what they tell you to do and just go along with it because you'll succeed in this program. And I'll pass it over to you, Paul.
Hey, thanks for being here. That was a great share, my friend. I appreciate you. And I know that, that's real recovery right there, the change. And you mentioned, that you're looking forward to sponsorship to work with others in this process. I heard your willingness there, that you're willing to support others. And yeah, the 12 steps are a miraculous thing, over 80 years now. Probably 20 million folk have found lasting freedom and millions of others' lives, brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, children, neighbours, colleagues, millions have been affected. It's one of the greatest shows on earth, 12 step recovery. And, it's great to hear your message, Laura. It's great to hear that you're free today, by the grace of God. And these steps, things like self-awareness and vigilance, and it was quite a moving share as well. And, more is revealed. It is a process, and it is a commitment. And, you mentioned there that you are going to be taking others through the steps, and I know you've mentioned that, you've got some strong support in your corner, you've got good sponsorship and a clear message of hope and freedom. So I was just wondering, what was it like when you came to your first meeting, just in a general way? Did someone tell you about it? Was it on Zoom? Was it in person? And what was your experience like in recovery?
Thanks, Paul. My first meeting ever. Um, Honestly, I was in a transition house with my ex-partner. And I said I needed a meeting. She kind of knew I needed one anyways. So I came to Cocaine Anonymous, and it was, at first, I didn't know how to feel. I knew I was ready to get sober at that point. I didn't know it was like a family. So, but I still being judgmental of myself, not know like having people make me feel like they're judging me because I'm still using or whatever. It was amazing to finally see that this is like a family, and it's amazing how people are so loving and tolerant for this because it's just amazing feeling. That's uh one other thing. I went from CA to AA, and they're both the same 12-step programs, but CA I felt more like home. I felt more like a family, and just to see this love and tolerance that everybody has, and just see it makes how we all love people. We all laugh. We all have a great time in these rooms. It's amazing. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, CA tends to be more progressive, we tend to get through the steps faster, than other fellowships, than AA and NA, and the miracle tends to happen fairly quick. It's a great way to live the program, and more is revealed as we grow. and we change, you know, and you know, when I work with people now, you know, I tend to get through a round of steps comparatively quickly, you know, like in sort of 3 to 4 weeks, whereas you know, in other fellowships it can be much longer. You know, and I have found that the best way to do it. You know, I've seen people, you know, spending too long on the steps and it's not worked out for them. You know, and in CA we do generally get folk through a round of steps much quicker. So yeah, I appreciate your share, and you know, and you know, I really hope that you know, whoever's working with you does help you to help others through the steps, because my experience has been that, you know, working with others and teaching others the steps, and that's really what we do in sponsorship. We're teaching people how the steps work. You know, that's what we do. There's a reason why they spend up to 2 months in Narcotics Anonymous. You know, I think personally it's well worth spending 4 or 5 hours getting a proper step one in place. You know, I don't like this idea when I hear people say, "Oh, I can get you through step 1, 2, and 3 in half an hour." I think that's a terrible idea. You know, absolutely terrible. This is a progressive fatal illness, and someone dies every 6 or 7 seconds of addiction. You know, I think it's really important to get a proper step one in place. You know, and there are some addicts that will say, "Well, you know, I was given step one, and it was just a simple yes or no, straight on to step two. You know, are you willing? Do you believe there's a solution? Are you willing to commit to it? That's it." Well, you know, I'm sorry, but that's not how I see it. That's not been my experience. I'm certainly not an expert, but in my years of working with others every day, you know, I think it's really important to have a solid foundation, you know, and ultimately, if we drink and drug again after going through the steps, it's a form of dishonesty. You know, you're lying to yourself. You know, and if you're trying to work the program without God, without the Creator, you know, in these rooms, we don't say, "Oh, well, you have to believe in Shiva, or you have to believe in Jehovah, or you have to believe the Lord Jesus Christ, or you have to believe in Buddha or Allah." We don't deal with that, you know. But personally, Laura, I believe that if you don't believe in a creator, then you're going to end up with something different than what the book has in view. You know, the book's crystal clear that you're asking a person for power, you know, and a person for wisdom, and you're asking a person for direction, you know, and you're admitting your shortcomings to a person, and you're getting help from a person. That person is the unseen source of everything. And whilst you don't need to believe in God to get sober, I believe that generally, particularly for chronic addicts or near chronic addicts, it's unlikely they're going to get much more than short-term sobriety without some kind of personal relationship with their creator. You know, and that's been my experience, and that's my reading of the literature as well. So yeah, you know, I look forward to a good report when you know, when you say you're starting working with people, and I hope you'll come and let us know in our group, so we can put you on the old sponsorship list when you know, when you're ready. And we've got 3 podcasts on this channel, Laura, called "What is Sponsorship?" The second one is "Am I Ready to Become a Sponsor?" The third one is "How Do I Sponsor?" You know, so there's 3 podcasts on this CA channel addressing that topic. So yeah, you know, I appreciate you being here. Perhaps you'd like to share in a general way how the steps work on a day-to-day basis. You know, what's the practical outworking of them in your daily routine, do you feel, that keeps you clean from day to day?
Well, Paul, that's a good question. Since I did my steps, I had to find the right sponsor, and the way I did my steps was a quick way, but I still took my time, like you said, on that step one, because I was a chronic relapser, and of course, I kept going back out. But this time, no, I did my steps the proper way, and I always wake up every morning. I read you my step one, then I live through my step 10, 11, and 12. So it's now I see I can learn how to pause, like step 11. I meditate on it, and then I just move forward. And if I have to take my inventory, I do my inventory daily. Some days I don't get to pen and paper. I have an app on my phone. If I have to do a spot inventory, I know I can do it. Just and then just now it's just step 12, just carrying on this message to other alcoholics or addicts. Like, just amazing to have this go through. I struggled with step 4 first couple times because I didn't know how to be that rigorous to honesty. And now that I have, and I've handed my all my like hurt, like the fear, everything that's just there, like it's gone. I still struggle with some of my character defects. I work on those on a daily basis, and I'm getting there. Just takes time, and you just gotta keep being honest with everybody. You have to reach out when you need to reach out, like I do, and just keep doing it because it's the only way you're gonna succeed in this recovery program. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Laura. That was beautiful. Yeah. Um, I mean, in the real world, it's really what we do, isn't it, that keeps us clean and sober, not necessarily what I think, what I say. It's really what I do. And for me, morning devotions have proved to be really, really pivotal and transformative. And that window where, usually when we wake up, there's usually 30, 40 seconds or so before we open our eyes, or sometimes more if we don't want to get up, I suppose. But that time there, that window there between waking up and opening your eyes is the best time, I think, to start your morning devotion. Positive affirmations, prayer, meditation. That's it there. And then immediately on opening your eyes, try and get into some literature straight away. Straight away. And with these dozens of CA WhatsApp groups, I mean, there's loads of them. You could lunch out and read devotionals for over half an hour if you wanted, back to back. I obviously don't do that, but I'll read a handful, and then prayer and contemplation, and then set about the day. Then, you mentioned working step 1 every morning. I have a friend in America, and he's got over 3 decades of continuous sobriety. He says he's made a lot of mistakes in his recovery, but every morning of those 30 years, he said, God, I'm an alcoholic. Grant me power. Keep me sober. Show me how I can help. I turn my thinking action over to you today. Amen. And he says if that's all he's done by way of morning devotions, he's done absolute minimum that every single day for them 30 years. And he attributes that, Laura, to his continuous sobriety. So he does. Nightly inventory. No one's ever worked a perfect program, don't get me wrong. But I've never seen anyone fail that's thoroughly followed this path yet. I haven't, not even near thoroughly followed it. I haven't. The prime reasons why people fail is because they work the steps backwards. They stop having a transparent, accountable relationship with God and with their fellows. And eventually, because it's a self-centered illness, they end up back in self. The world's against them, and they just have to go and get right. It gets painful to stay clean. Without God and the fellowship and this process, it gets painful, and then folk have to go and get right. They have to go and fix themselves chemically, and some don't make it back from that. So here's the 9-step promises on the screen. I was just wondering if you fancied reading these for us.
Sure would, Paul. So these are 9-step promises. If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we're halfway through. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity. We will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of useless and self-pity will disappear. Sorry. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and ignorant insecurities will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we cannot do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. Are they being fulfilled among us? Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them. Thanks,
Yeah.
Paul.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Laura. That's beautifully read. So I think that does bring us to the end of today's broadcast. And I just want to say, family, that on the screen right now is information about how to get to meetings. There it is. Look, bear in mind you can pause, rewind, fast forward, and share this podcast wherever you will. As I say, all these meetings on this screen, if you listen to this on a phone or a computer, you can take a screenshot of this, and then you'll always have the wherewithal to get to Zoom meetings. Now, you ain't going to be required to talk or put your camera on in any of these Zoom meetings. You can just pop along and listen discreetly to the message if you so wish. And the public meetings, all these meetings on the screen. So if you're new to recovery, maybe you're still using and boozing, maybe you're still in the drama and the chaos and the sorrow and pain of active addiction, come to some meetings. You know, you're not going to be jumped on in any of these meetings. You're not going to be required to talk or put your camera on. You can come along and listen to a wonderful message of hope like we've heard today. And the UK Samaritans at the bottom right, as is the CA UK helpline. There's ca.org and canonymous.org.uk. Me and Laura often found a group called We Can Recover, which is at the top there. That's on 3 times every single day, 2 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9:30 every day UK time, which is 9 a.m., 3 p.m. and 4:30 Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, man, that's a really healthy meeting. But all those meetings on that screen are healthy meetings, you know, and God's voice, message of hope and freedom, courage is heard in all those meetings. So by all means, take a screenshot of that. Once again, if you're here and you're looking for sponsorship, we've got men and women that are ready, willing, and able to take through this wonderful process. A sponsor is someone that's been through the 12 steps and has a working knowledge of the literature, the fellowship, and the steps, and a personal relationship with higher power, and is willing to take the time to take you through these 12 steps so you can be liberated from the hideous self-centered delusion of drink and drugs. So without further ado, I'd just like to offer you a minute or two to come back in, Laura, if you've anything you want to share further with our listeners before we wrap up.
Yeah, Paul, I forgot to mention, I struggle with mental health, so it does prove that people do have mental health can recover and work these 12 steps. There's just, all I can say is you gotta do your own recovery and work it if way you gotta work it, because not everybody does it the same way. We all have to have our own recovery. And I'll pass it back to you, Paul.
Thank you, Laura. We're right pleased you could come along this afternoon and share a lovely message. We appreciate you. It's always great to see you in the rooms. And yeah, hit us up in a couple of months if you want to come back on the channel and share your story again with us. You know, let us know where you're at. It's been lovely hearing you this afternoon. I know it's morning where you are, lunchtime where you are over there in Canada. It's a chilly afternoon in Scotland, but we're just going to stay in the solution. Action, action, action. Happy, happy, happy. You know, moving forward and keep things simple. And, you know, if we take care of what's right, God will take care of what's left. So once again, thank you for your time today, Laura. And we will be back. Oh, thank you, Laura. Do you want to come in?
Yeah, sorry. I thought you were done. I just want to say thank you and happy birthday to Cocaine Anonymous.
Yeah, 42 years today. Yeah. Super duper. Appreciate you, Laura. Okay, family, stay strong, stay safe. Shalom.